Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's Reddit stories are from PettyRevenge. Story 1 is by Bad Decision Barbie 4. Landlady kept trying to show my flat without warning. I live in one half of a duplex. The other half is occupied by the owner, my landlady. My landlady is awful. I won't go into detail, so you'll just have to take my word for it. Since we live in close proximity, I do everything within my power to keep the peace and prevent either of our daily lives from being too miserable. That patience finally wore out. My landlady decided to sell the entire duplex. Fine by me. I'm protected by my lease, and I figure my odds are decent of getting a less crappy landlord out of the deal. Obviously, she needs to show the property to prospective buyers. My lease states she needs to give 24 hours of notice before entering my half. I told her I'm even fine with less than that as long as she lets me know the night before. I also set her up with a personal code for my alarm so she can get in if I'm not home since I travel frequently. However, even this has been too difficult for her. Had a knock at the door last week. It's the landlady with a nice young couple. She asks if they can come take a quick look. I say no. Sorry, I haven't had time to prepare for a showing since she gave me no notice. She pouts and says, can they just take a quick peek from the doorway? I stay firm. Tell them they can come back tomorrow if they like and close the door. A few days later, I'm heading out the door and bump into my landlady out on the street with a strange man. She says sorry for not calling yesterday, but asks if they can go upstairs for a viewing. I say no. I have laundry out that I haven't put away and I'm not comfortable with a strange man looking at my underwear. She pouts. I'm in a rush and jump into my car. I arrive at work to a notification on my phone. It's my Ring alarm system letting me know my landlady's code was used to deactivate and reactivate the alarm within the last few minutes. She's older and probably has no idea I can see who uses the alarm code. I'm seething. That night, I delete my landlady's alarm code from the system. I do not inform her of this. I figure if she needs to show the property while I'm out of town, I'll just deactivate the alarm remotely from my phone. Next week, I'm traveling for work. I spend the day in meetings. I check my phone to find a million notifications. Ring has let me know the alarm was tripped. My landlady has called a dozen times, left voicemails, sent angry messages. Yes, she tried to go into my apartment again without giving me a heads up. She was unable to deactivate the alarm. Let me tell you, that alarm is loud. I assume half the neighborhood could hear it. I pay for Ring monitoring, so the police were automatically called. Since she owns the property, it seems they didn't give her too much grief, but as the neighborhood Karen, boy, is she pissed at being the center of drama. But hey, I bet she won't try to go into my apartment unannounced again. We all love to hate terrible landlords. I luckily have never had a super bad one, but I've heard horror stories from people over the years. I hope I never do get a bad one. I know somebody who would shovel around her vehicle and throw all the snow onto the lawn, and then the landlord would come and shovel the sidewalk and shovel all the snow around her vehicle. And he did it so many times that she actually recorded him doing it. He was just so inconsiderate, and he somehow tried to make it seem like she was in the wrong. Our next story is by AsGuy303. Restaurant shorted my to-go order and refused to refund the food I didn't get. Blamed me for not checking my order before I left. So I've been finding any review platform to tell my story as a review, texting friends and family to upvote my reviews, as well as charging back my meal. I was ready to put it behind me, but what really set me off is the owner's snarky Google reply to my review and snarkiness on pretty much any and all medium or low reviews. So on a mission of pettiness. The gist of my experience and basically my Google review. Avoid this location. Only second 1-star review I've given. Apparently the owner finds it more important to leave snarky review replies than to not steal from customers by shorting them on their order. I'm impressed though. Only took them 5 minutes to reply to this review, but 8 days to call me back and tell me they're not going to reimburse the food they didn't give me. The manager would rather blame the customer than take accountability for their staff's mistakes. Food is mid at best anyway. Original review. Ordered online for the Superbowl, and when I got home, a third of my order was missing. Mistakes happen. I called them to let them know, and they said I could come back and pick it up, but I told them I'd rather just get refunded because I live 25 minutes away and the game's about to start. They were understandably busy, so they took my name and number and said they would call me back later that day. Week goes by and no one calls back. I call back a week later, and initially I'm told that it was my fault because your receipt says on it to check your order before you leave the store for takeout. Reluctantly, they said they would reimburse the part of the order that was missing to my card, and a manager would call me back. Manager calls the next day, 8 days after the initial order, and said, sorry, it's been too long since it was purchased to reimburse, which was a lie. But we can just give you 8 wings. I declined the wings. They messed up the order, that happens, but they made me jump through hoops and didn't even resolve the situation. Owner's reply, thank you for understanding that the receipt says to check your order before you leave, as there are no refunds. I hope that place got lambasted in comments. It's become a much more common thing for people to go to places based on positive Google reviews. Not everybody does. Some of the old dogs still don't do that, but a lot of the younger generation definitely do. And, to share my own story, I once took my car into a shop to get it inspected, and when they got the car there, they said that the rear brake pads were feesed. They were basically rusted shut. My car was pretty old, and the brakes had to be entirely redone. It was super expensive. It was like $800 or $900. To pass inspection, the brakes had to be redone, and there was a headlight bulb that I think needed to be replaced. So I waited for my car to be fixed, I paid for it, and I left. And within like 3 days, I got pulled over by the police because there was no inspection sticker on my car. Like, I took it into them to be inspected, and they fixed everything that had to be fixed in order for it to pass inspection, but they never put the sticker on that said it's clear for inspection. I tried to contest that ticket. I went to the car shop and I said, hey, I brought my car to you to get inspected, and you fixed this, and so it should have passed inspection. Is there any way you can back me up on this? Like, tell them that the car passed inspection, there was just no sticker placed on the car. And the owner told me, you need to check the receipt in the future to make sure that we did the inspection as well. No, this is on you. So I had to pay like $150, and I took it somewhere else to actually get inspected after that. And it passed without issue at that point. But I wrote negative reviews about that place, and I don't regret it at all. I feel like they were negligent. I paid you for brakes, I paid you for the headlight to pass inspection. Do the inspection, put the sticker on the car so that I don't get a ticket. And I'm sure some people out there will say, I'm still legally required to check the list, it's not on them, but I felt like they were at fault, not me. Our next story today is by Nepo Barbie. Try and make your stepson or ex-engagement party all about you. I'll bribe the staff to turn the party into a series of unfortunate events for you specifically. My big brother recently got engaged to a lovely woman who makes him so happy. I'm thrilled for him, especially since he had a string of terrible girlfriends and messy breakups before meeting this woman, and he deserves someone good for him. One of those terrible girlfriends went on to marry our dad and become our stepmom. She is, to put it as nicely as tactfully possible, a B-word. When she found out my brother was engaged, she first complained she wasn't told at the same time he told his parents and siblings, which, girl, he's your ex, and then proceeded to try to make the whole thing about her. She talked openly about how this new girl isn't as pretty or sociable as a certain past girlfriend of his. She called his new fiancé to ask her questions to make sure she was right for him. She started referring to herself as a stepmom-in-law-to-be. She wanted to be involved in all the planning for the engagement party, in which she wanted to make a speech. It all made my brother and his fiancée very uncomfortable. I was very involved in planning the engagement party. My stepmom was so adamant that she had to be involved, and my dad asked my brother to let her. So to keep the peace, we let her, but I gave my stepmom random, irrelevant things to deal with, so she couldn't have an actual say in the event. I had this woman choosing between 8 near-identical shades of taupe for the ribbons to go around the vases. I made it clear to her that her being invited to the event in the first place was a courtesy, and that if she has any tact, she would be ill that day. She, of course, showed up. wearing a white floor-length gown, unclear if it came with a headdress. So I asked some friends of mine to run interference to prevent her from talking to the couple. I also talked to the staff at the event and bribed them to make her day a little bit difficult. The photographer didn't manage to capture a single photo that included her all day and asked to take the family photos while she happened to be in the bathroom. The bartenders gave her non-alcohol versions of every drink she ordered and spilled drinks on her twice. The waiters completely avoided going near her with canapes or drinks. And when she tried to make a speech, the microphone suddenly had unexplained feedback and stopped working. Then the music started back up. Afterwards, she complained about how bad the event was. Everyone else seemed to have a good time, though, especially the couple. Get 'em, OP. Get that B word out of here. What a strange situation, though. Your brother dated this woman, and then he broke up with her, and your dad ended up with her? Some people are obsessed with certain families, and they'll go from one guy to the next, even if they're related. Our stories for today have come to a close. Until we meet again, have a glowing day.